Everybody's joining so fast. For our panelists, I'm going to get you in here in a second. I've been trying to add the panelists, but it keeps changing names. It's like I'm like trying to hit. It's like a whack-a-mole. Keeps moving around. Let me see if I can get someone in here. Nice. All right, folks, we're gonna get started here in a little bit. We're gonna give it about a couple minutes. We're just gonna get our panelists up on and I got you, Lawrence. Give me a second. Jessica, are you able to promote folks to become panelists?
So Ruben, let me check. Who are you looking to promote?
Lawrence Dercole.
Let's see. Let me see if I can find him.
I think it's an alphabetical by first name. So Al, he's there. Oh, I think I got him. All right, I think we got him.
Okay.
Awesome, possum. All right, folks. Well, welcome to our session on the Idea Scholars Program, and congratulations again on being admitted to UC San Diego and the Jacobs School of Engineering. We're gonna get going in about 1 minute. But yeah, you are in the right place if you're hoping to hear a little bit more about the Idea Scholars Program. We will touch very briefly upon the Summer Engineering Institute because they are connected, but we did have a session about SEI yesterday. It was recorded. We're gonna share the link to our YouTube channel later on. So if you missed that session, you'll still have an opportunity to catch that information. Also, just so you know, this session is being recorded as well. So we'll share the information later on. All of our recordings go to our YouTube channel, and you can find our YouTube channel by going to the Idea Center's website. But that's just a couple of heads up. We'll get these going here in about a minute. If you have questions, please use the Q&A feature. Pretty please. Thank you. All right, folks, we're gonna get going as soon as I can. Share my screen again. As soon as I can learn how to use a computer, we'll get started. Jessica, I think we're gonna need to.
Okay.
I think we're gonna
Yes.
need to
Great. You know what? I am all loaded up. I have a presentation ready to go. So let's do it.
Awesome. Jessica coming in clutch. Jessica came in clutch yesterday when the computer crashed, and Jessica keeps coming in clutch again. For some reason, I don't know what's happening. I think it might just be Google Slides, but I'm having issues trying to both present and discuss and use Zoom. and all that jazz. And I did see the message that you sent, Jessica. I'm going to touch upon that in a little bit, but yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, if we can hit the next slide, Jessica, let's introduce ourselves. Let's give an opportunity for folks to kind of know who we are. So hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Ruben D. Rodriguez, and I'm a program coordinator for the IDEA Engineering Student Center. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I am one of the hosts. You're going to hear a lot of things coming from myself because I have served as the IDEA Scholars Coordinator for the past 4 years, roughly. I am a product of the UC system. I went to UCLA, and then I went to Harvard, and I got my master's at Harvard. And lovely Jessica Baldus is here joining us. Jessica, you want to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Baldus. I'm our Academic Success Coordinator at the IDEA Center. I also run our ELC program. I'm excited Nikita, who is a panelist, is one of our ELC peer educators. I am originally from Wisconsin, so my bachelor's degree is actually from the University of Wisconsin. My master's degree in engineering is from the other UW on the other side of the country in Washington. And I'm working on my doctorate in education right now through the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
Excellent. Too many W's. Jessica was winning too much. So Jessica decided I'm going to switch it up and go for an I. She wanted that incomplete instead. Just kidding. University of Illinois. Fantastic. And kudos to Jessica. Very inspirational. Definitely making me think about maybe returning to school. So maybe we'll have a conversation about that at some point. Maybe we'll have a one-on-one and you can give me some tips and pointers. Just in a concept or some context, excuse me, for anyone who's not quite as familiar with UCSD, the School of Engineering or the IDEA Engineering Student Center, but the structure essentially is UCSD is the university, the Jacob School of Engineering, or JSOE, if you hear that acronym, is a division within UCSD, and then the IDEA Center is a department within the division within the School of Engineering. So if you hear us say the IDEA Center or the School of Engineering, sometimes we use them, we might switch some of the phrases or words around. You might hear the IDEA track, the JSOE track, the engineering track. They're not exactly synonymous. We might use them in certain phrases, certain terms, certain sentences like that, but just so you know, that's kind of the structure at UCSD. And some of the programs that we run within the IDEA Center, we have our IDEA Scholars Program, we have our ACES Scholars Program that is transitioning, and then also our Jacob Scholars Program. Jessica mentioned our engineering learning communities that she helps organize. Our Summer Engineering Institute, which is a 5-week residential program. For this summer, it's going to be a residential program. We help support 42 plus student organizations, active student organizations, but I believe that there's over 50 that are registered within the IDEA Center, and these are strictly engineering or STEM related student organizations. And then we run a variety of other programs like our ring ceremony, which is a graduation ceremony specific for engineering students, welcome events, and so forth. So here's some important tidbits about the IDEA Scholars Program, but SEI. So in order to participate and apply to the IDEA Scholars Program, students must apply to the Summer Engineering Institute. The SEI application is currently open. Students are able to apply for SEI once they accept their offer to UCSD. You must accept your offer in order to apply because you need a PID in order to apply. And you don't get your PID until you accept your offer. Admissions are on a rolling basis for the Summer Engineering Institute. The application closes May 9th. However, if you're planning to apply for the IDEA Scholars Program, you're gonna wanna apply much earlier, much sooner than May 9th, because the application process takes a little bit. There's additional questions after SEI, after the application to the SEI program. So you're gonna wanna start before May 9th, definitely. We recommend that you apply for summer FAFSA. So for the 2021-2022 FAFSA, and you want to complete that before May 9th. SEI dates are July 30th. That's when the program begins. That's a Saturday. And then it ends September 3rd, 2022. And then there's more information on our website, on the IDEA Center website. It was brought to my attention yesterday during the SEI presentation that summer session, there is a website for all summer programs. And on the summer programs website, it states that we're going to be virtual. We're not. We're planning to be residential. So the most up-to-date information is through the Idea Center website. Thanks, Jess. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, let's transition and discuss the Idea Scholars Program. So the next few slides are just kind of the Idea Scholars Program at a glimpse. And then I'm going to discuss the application, kind of some tips to make your application as best as it can be. And then we're going to introduce our panelists. And we have a couple of questions already written for our panelists, but we're also going to be accepting questions through the Q&A feature. So if you have questions or if we're not able to answer them, feel free to type them in and we can see if we can get to them. So just an overview, the goal of the Jacobs Schools Idea Scholars Program is to foster community building and academic excellence among our top incoming freshman engineering students coming from diverse backgrounds. As an Idea Scholar, students join a select group of students who will serve as ambassadors for the Jacobs School throughout their time at UC San Diego. And the cohort is roughly 40 to 50 Idea Scholars each year. That's roughly the number of students that we take into the Idea Scholars Program. Some of the benefits of the program include a scholarship to assist with the cost of attendance to SEI. Funding for this comes from different donors and it's distributed amongst all scholars, but the amount does vary. Last year, Idea Scholars roughly received around $1,000. There are some Idea scholarships that are $2,000, $3,000. It ranges anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. The higher amounts are rare. That's donor specific. They might be looking for a student with a specific major. They might be looking for something in particular for an applicant. But I would say by and large, $1,000, anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 is about the average scholarship amount. And again, it's applied for the cost of the Summer Engineering Institute. Some of the higher award amounts are renewable. The $1,000 scholarships, the $2,000 scholarships, they're typically non-renewable. So they're usually only for the summer. There are some Idea Scholars, very few, but there are some that are renewable. But any information, if students apply and you're awarded a scholarship, all of that information is sent to you in a package. So you'll be able to know whether it's renewable or not before you have to accept the offer. Yeah, additional benefits for the Idea Scholars Program include priority access to scholarships and internships. And this may just be information about a particular scholarship. This may be information about a particular internship. This may be a private session with a company. It really depends. Every single year, we're always in contact with companies and different scholarship opportunities, different departments on campus that are looking for a specific set of students. They might reach out to me and then I might forward that information to our Idea Scholars. We offer priority registration for our engineering learning communities, and that can be a huge plus for students because certain classes, they fill up pretty quickly. Certain ELCs, fill up pretty quickly. So having priority access or priority registration can come in pretty clutch. Mentoring from fellow Idea Scholars, personalized support from Idea Center staff, personal, professional, and leadership development opportunities, involvement in a fostered engineering community, networking opportunities with engineering companies, and then an Idea Scholar medal upon graduation. The medal doesn't sound like a super cool thing until you get closer to graduating, and then it kind of becomes a cool thing. And it's like, I want my medal. Where's my medal at? So don't be too dismissive of the medal. It's pretty sweet. And expectations for our first year students. I wanted to touch upon the expectations for first year students because that's going to be you all or some of you all. So we do have weekly discussions during the fall quarter, and Jessica did bring it to my attention. We have applied for the weekly discussions to become a credit-bearing course. So for this fall, it appears as though we will have a course that students will enroll in. Ideally, we'd have all the information within the next few months where we have to go through academic senate. We have to do a bunch of paperwork to make this happen, but it looks like we're moving along. So there are weekly discussions. It's about an hour to an hour and a half each week. It's only for the fall quarter. The course or the weekly discussions don't continue in winter quarter or spring quarter, but that's just a heads up. Then we want students, idea scholars, to attend group sessions during the winter quarter. We've paused some of the groups sessions, especially during the pandemic. This was really popular prior to the pandemic, but with the pandemic, we've been kind of reimagining or revisiting what these group sessions look like. But I think we might bring them back. We might have a twist once we come back this upcoming fall and winter quarter. We do have our one-on-one advising sessions with the Idea Center coordinator, that's myself. And then we might open it up to additional staff so that students can have one-on-one sessions with other Idea Center staff. That's an ongoing conversation. And then we want our first year Idea Scholars to meet with their big at least once per quarter, but maybe even more often. And we do incentivize meetups with bigs by giving students a gift card to Starbucks. I know that in our sister program, the ACES program, gave out gift cards to Boba. That seemed to be a pretty big hit. So we'll see what kind of gift cards we're giving out, but I think Starbucks has been the way to go. Awesome, and here's a couple of achievements. This is essentially not even close to being a thorough list of achievements by Idea Scholars, but it's just a snapshot. It's just to give you an idea of kind of some of the achievements that our Idea Scholars have been able to do. So we have students who have been Churchill Scholars, McNair, Gilman Scholars. They're they've been the president of the Triton Engineering Student Council, the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, Triton Racing, and so forth. We have students that are board members, either vice presidents or presidents, treasurers of any number of those 50 student organizations, engineering student organizations. We have students that have done research pretty much all throughout campus and have won pretty much every single award as it pertains to engineering related awards. And then with respect to a lot of internships or professional achievements, we have students that are Idea Scholars, that are pretty much working everywhere or have interned everywhere with respect to engineering. So our Idea Scholars have seen a lot of success. Our website, the Idea Scholars webpage that's on the Idea Center website, has a fairly accurate list of graduate schools that our Idea Scholars have been admitted to, and it still needs to be updated because we're getting more and more admissions as we speak, these couple of weeks. So we have students recently that let me know that they were admitted to Stanford and MIT and so forth. And so our Idea Scholars it's a really accomplished group of students, and their accomplishments only continue to grow. I've been pretty excited. I'm pretty proud of all their accomplishments. I wish I could claim all their achievements solely for myself, but it's not the case. It's all of it is their work. It's their hard work. Some dates and deadlines for the Idea Scholars program. So the application closes on the 9th. It coincides with the SEI application. You must apply to SEI in order to apply to the Idea Scholars program. The Idea Scholars application is at the end of the SEI application. There isn't a separate link for the application. At the end of the SEI application, you'll see a question that says, would you like to apply for the Idea Scholars program? You click yes, and then you continue the application. You apply for the Idea Scholars program. We do receive questions all the time. Are we connected to Summer Bridge? Are we connected to the PATHS program? And the case is no. Those are separate programs. That's a separate application. SEI is its own, the Summer Engineering Institute, it's its own summer transition program. Summer Bridge is its own summer transition program. And the PATHS program, that's its own separate program as well. And admissions to other opportunities, it doesn't immediately affect your Idea Scholars application. So some of you may receive a Chancellor Scholarship, Regent Scholarship, a Chancellor's Associate Scholarship. There's a lot of other scholarships that are out there. They don't immediately affect it. It might affect it. It really depends on the context. We want to try to ensure that incoming engineering students are being supported somewhere. So if the case is, we have a lot of applicants who have not received a scholarship elsewhere or some other support, then we're probably going to focus on those students. If it turns out that we receive a lot of applications from students who are receiving support from elsewhere, and that's the pool of applicants, well, then that happens to be the case, and that's the pool of applicants. And so we will probably take some students. Every year, we've taken students who have been admitted to some other scholarship program. But it depends. I can't say that I can't guarantee that that's going to happen this summer. I can't dismiss it either. It isn't the first component. The first component of applying to the Idea Scholars Program is the actual application. If you put together a good application, that's what's most important. If you put together a bad application, that's not going to be good. I do want to add before we move on to the next slide. It's totally fine, Jessica. You can move to the next slide. For Jacob Scholars, specifically, if anyone is a Jacob Scholar, that would be the only scholars program in which you probably would not be admitted to the Idea Scholars Program. So sad to say that Jacob Scholars cannot also, you can apply. You probably just won't be admitted, but feel free to apply if you'd like to. I will tell you right now, if you get a Jacob Scholars, the opportunity to be a Jacob Scholar, take that one. Go ahead and I'll just go ahead and save you the trouble right now. Take the Jacob Scholars Scholarship for sure. All right, yeah, next slide, Jess. Okay, these next couple of slides are about the actual application. I've spent the past 4 or 5 years reading, I don't even, over 1,000, maybe even 2,000 applications. And these are just some things that I've noticed. So this is to help you put together a strong application. If you already know you want to apply for the Idea Scholars Program, some of these tips might sound really obvious. I hope to break them down and kind of explain why it's not as obvious. But yeah, start early. Don't start the day of. We can tell. It's that simple. If you read something and it reads like a first draft, it was probably a first draft. Late applications will not be accepted. The application, the portal should close exactly at midnight on the 9th or whatever, 11:59. If it doesn't, and somehow you're able to apply, it's timestamped. And so I will comb through the timestamp, and at midnight, I will just cut out all of those applications. So you must apply before the deadline. There should be no reason why anyone's submitting at 1 in the morning. There should be no reason. Will students apply at 1 in the morning? Oh, you betcha, definitely. But you should apply at 1 in the morning on May 2nd, on April 28th. Don't apply on May 10th, 1 in the morning, because that's past the deadline. Spell check. Should I say anything else? I feel like that one's pretty straightforward. Spell check. Answer the prompts. Answer the questions. I'm going to break those down in the next slide, the next couple of slides, but answer the prompt and speak your mind. Please don't write an answer that you think we want to read. Please don't try to write fluff. It's not a high school AP essay. This isn't something where you got to fill in and you got to fill in the space and make it sound lofty. And let me find a word. I want to use the word myriad and just put that, I got to insert that. There's no need. Just be yourself in the application. All right, Jessica, let's go on to the next one. Next slide. Okay. So sample question number 1. If the prompt states, please state what you like to eat for dinner tonight, answer the question. Please don't start with, I have always known I don't like pizza. It doesn't answer the question. You might think you're answering the question, but you're not. Whenever possible, start by directly answering the question, then use the remaining space to answer why or because. For example, tonight, I would like to eat chicken pho and beef broth. I would like to eat chicken pho, also known as pho ga, because I grew up eating that meal on cold nights, and today is a cold night. Additionally, I find the meal to be delicious, especially when I add onion and freshly squeezed limes. Does that second one answer the question, please state what you like to eat for dinner tonight? It does answer that prompt. If you leave the response as, I have always known I don't want to eat pizza, or I know I don't want to eat fish, that doesn't answer the prompt. Don't dance around the prompt thinking you're answering it. Give us a direct answer and then fill in with why or because. Now let's take a look at one of the questions that we do ask, and we can get a little bit more specific. So sample question number 2, why will the Idea Scholars Program help you achieve your educational and career goals? 300 word max. First things first, 300 word max is not mandatory. It doesn't mean you have to type in 300 words. When you see the word max, that means stop writing. You've exceeded. You don't need to get to 300. If you see a 500 word max, you don't need to get to 500. That means stop. It means we're looking for something brief. So 300 words is what, around a paragraph? It's like a long paragraph, maybe half a page. We're just looking at a brief snapshot of what your educational and or career goals. So this question and any question that's similar to it, what are your educational goals? What are your career goals? What are your research goals? It's a formula. Educational goals plus career goals equals the Idea Scholars Program. And so you have to break down what your educational goals are, what are your career goals, and what are the specific perks or benefits of the Idea Scholars Program. So what does the Idea Scholars Program offer that's going to help you reach your career goals or your educational goals? And so you got to spend time. This is why it's important to not start at the last minute. You can type the answer relatively quickly, but that's not what takes a lot of time. What takes a lot of time is thinking about what your career goals truly are after UCSD. What are your educational goals? Do you want to get a bachelor's? Do you want to pursue graduate school? Do you want to go to medical school? Do you want to work for a while and then go back to school? That takes time. And at 17 or 18 years old, totally understand if you don't know. I'm going to insert an extra tip that wasn't in the slide. It's okay to not know. It's totally okay to not know. I would encourage you, though, to maybe not write, I don't know what I want to do. Maybe skip that one line. I've seen that a couple of times. You know, an application may benefit from omitting a few sentences. So additionally, I want to add, don't say the Idea Scholars Program is going to help you graduate or it's going to help you get a job. Snooze fest. Well, we know that one. I've read that one. I don't even know how many times. It's going to help me get a job. It's going to help me become an engineer. Will we? Will we help you become an engineer? I feel like going to the Jacob School of Engineering is supposed to help you become an engineer. That's my guess, but I'm not at what I don't know. I don't entirely know. What are the specific elements of the Idea Scholars Program that you're looking for? And what are those specific elements that are supposed to help you? So is it a connection to graduate schools or admissions offices that's going to help you with your educational goal of going to graduate school? So trying to become specific and connecting the two is a strategic advantage for your application. It's about being very direct. The application for the Idea Scholars Program is about being direct and concise. It's a huge, huge key to try to condense your ideas into 300 words. All right, just I think that's that for the application component. So from here, I want to move on to our student panel. So again, if folks have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A. But I want to go ahead and introduce our student panelists, who are all Idea Scholars, wonderful, lovely Idea Scholars. But yeah, let's go ahead and introduce our folks. So we have Lawrence Dercole. I think you can hit the next slide, Jess. We have Lawrence Dercole, Mayra Ashraf, Nikita, I'm going to butcher your last name, Kalahi. Maybe not. It's close. Okay, I get 50%. I get half credit. And then Richie Kamboj, yeah? No, 50%. 50% credit. Well, they'll have an opportunity to say their full names and be able to introduce themselves. So let's just go ahead and let's turn it over to our panelists to introduce themselves. And I think you can probably stop sharing the slides for now, Jess.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name's Lawrence Dercole. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my major is computer science. I'm in Muir College, and my home is in Chula Vista, which is like 30 minutes south from UCSD. And I participated in SEI in 2019, which was the last time it was in person.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mayra Ashraf. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a bioengineering biotechnology major in Warren College at UCSD, and I was raised but not born in San Diego. So I've lived in San Diego, California my whole life, and I participated in SEI virtually.
Hi everyone, my name is Nikita Kalahi, so Ruben was pretty close. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a second year bioengineering bioinformatics major, and I also have a minor in biology. And I'm originally from the Bay Area, and I participated in SEI when it was virtual, but it was actually called summer prep.
Hey everyone, my name is Richie. I'm a second year bioengineering bioinformatics major. I'm in ERC and my home is Hayward. It's in Northern California, like 40 minutes away from San Francisco. And I participated in SCI virtually.
All right. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. Let's get things going with our first question. So it would be great if everyone answered this question. So why did you apply to the IDEA Scholars Program? And let's just go in the same order. Lawrence, why don't you go ahead and kick it off?
All right, so I remember when I first heard about the IDEA Scholars Program, I thought it sounded super cool, just like the title ambassador for the Jacobs School of Engineering. And I was like, oh, that sounds dope. I should apply. So maybe that alone was kind of a lot of motivation. But also it looked like the program was just there to help me succeed at UCSD and give me a lot of helpful resources that I could take advantage of, like having mentoring from older IDEA scholars or faculty at the Jacobs School of Engineering, and any assistance with professional development or internship opportunities. It just seemed like it was all there to help me succeed, whether I wanted to succeed or take advantage of those resources or not. So yeah, why wouldn't you want it? Why wouldn't you want that? Free resources.
Yeah, awesome. And then I applied to the IDEA Scholars initially because I just wanted like some sort of scholars title next to my name. So like I applied to the PATH Scholars and the ACES Scholars and the IDEA Scholars all at once. But also I was specifically interested in the IDEA Scholars because of the connections that they made. Like I liked that we would get priority for certain internships, scholarships. Like that sounds cool, getting to be the first to apply for things. That's nice. And I did like the mentorship aspects of it as well. I was going into my first year at UCSD while everything was online. So I was a little bit daunted about like trying to make friends and trying to find mentors. And I liked that the IDEA Scholars would just kind of do that for me pretty easily.
Yeah, so going off of what Mayra said, actually for me too, I started off the year the pandemic started, so 2020. And when I saw the benefits that the IDEA Scholars Program provided, I also saw that there's a sense of community and you can find other engineers. And I really wanted to meet other people, whether in my major or in the engineering department. And it was also nice that it came with a lot of benefits, such as the Bigs and Littles program, and also the priority access to a bunch of internships and research opportunities, which I was really interested in when I was coming into college.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with all of them. I think like for me at least, it was more of like how I was like high school senior and now started transitioning to like a freshman in college. And I had no idea how to transition. I knew nothing about college. I didn't know how to be successful in my first year. So I thought the IDEA Scholars Program would guide me into that, and it definitely did. I think like one of my biggest regrets in high school especially was that I wasn't super involved. So one thing that I did like when I came to college is I tried to be as involved as I could. So I tried to join the IDEA Scholars Program, and luckily I was able to get in. And through the IDEA Scholars Program, I was able to join many student organizations, have multiple leadership experiences, and also like with like research labs I've joined. I think the IDEA Scholars Program really helped with that. And it also gave me an opportunity to meet a lot more engineering majors and make a lot of like really close friends. Like Nikita and Mayra are like, you know, two of my very, very closest friends, and many other friends in the IDEA Scholars Program. So yeah.
The squad united, the homies. And it's okay to admit the truth, if your homies come from the Idea Scholars Program, that's where they come from. Or if they come from SEI, you know, that's where you find them. I would say, by and large, I agree with everything everyone has said. I mean, it's their experiences. I'm a staff member, but I've heard what everyone has said, what our panelists have said multiple times through one-on-ones with our students, with our Idea Scholars. So they're really echoing a general sentiment amongst Idea Scholars. And I know that there's more that we could do as a program. I want to clarify a few things. So when students say that they get priority access to internships or anything like that, it's that they get the application first. It doesn't mean that we're going to give an internship to a student. It's that they might see something before everybody else, or it might be that a company is recruiting, and so they want to have an info session, or they want to have, I mean, the past 2 years we've been remote, so they might want to have a Zoom meeting with folks. And so our Idea Scholars get a special invite, or our ACES Scholars get a special invite, or we might do ACES and Idea Scholars and do some type of joint meeting with a particular company. Do you have to attend them? No, Idea Scholars aren't forced to attend any particular meeting, especially because we have such a variety of majors. So would a bioengineering major go to a panel session for Tesla or for, I don't know, some other company? Unlikely, but I'd like to believe that it's nice that they exist, or that we're finding or having some of these sessions. So we can do a better job. I want to go ahead and put that out there, that we want to do a better job for a lot of the variety of majors. We have our chemical engineering, nano engineering, bioengineering majors. And so we're subject to the job market, we're subject to the labor market. So certain companies reach out more so than others, but I do want to go ahead and plant that seed. Additionally, I'm going to move on to the next question. Otherwise, I'm going to end up taking up too much time. So the next question is, what has been the most beneficial part of the Idea Scholars Program? And so it'd be cool. Richie, why don't you go ahead and start us off, and then maybe we'll go Mayra, and then we'll go Lawrence. So what has been the most beneficial part? I know some of you have kind of already touched upon it, but if you can elaborate, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think for me, it was actually the mentorship program, because it kind of like gave me like that validation that like I was definitely not the only one, like, for example, struggling in that class. I was definitely not the only one struggling to find research or internship opportunities. I was definitely not the only one who was having trouble like finding like some student orgs to join. And I guess like I've been very fortunate with my mentor when I was a freshman. Her name was Solchit, and she gave like such amazing advice on like what classes to take, with which professor. And I just like got to hear her personal experience, and she tried her best to relate with me so much. And she also like gave me advice on how to be more active, because as I mentioned earlier, I didn't really like, I wasn't like too involved in high school, and that was something I really like. I came with that goal in college. Like I really needed to get more involved in college. I remember my mentor, at least she spent like 2 hours once like trying to help me find research opportunities that fit my interest. And I was like really grateful for her, to her for that. And I'm a mentor this year, so I hope to be as great of a mentor as she was. And I'm just trying to be as interactive with my mentees as I can. It's just like, as like other panels here mentioned, it's just about a sense of community that you find with different engineering majors. And I think that's what I like most about that program. Like you're vulnerable together, because I feel like a lot of times when you're in college, you don't get to see a lot of people's vulnerable sides sometimes, just because like sometimes it gets like a bit of a competitive environment in some cases. But I think like the mentorship program really gives like, you get to see a more vulnerable side of other people, and I get to like express my side, which is really nice. It's really wholesome.
Oh, that's so touching, Richie. I think that the mentorship and community is definitely a big benefit of the Idea Scholars Program. But for me, a more material thing, I guess, is that for me, the biggest or the most beneficial thing I probably got was like all the help that you can get with applications and stuff. So for my first year, I got research on my own, but the Idea Scholars Program is also super helpful in getting you internships or research opportunities if you're interested in that. But then I wanted to apply for scholarships related to my research. So I remember I met with Ruben for like a bunch of one-on-ones, and we just like wrote a bunch of applications together, and that was super helpful. And then this past year, my second year, I applied to like more things that required interviews. And a lot of the IDEA scholars who are older had already applied to those things and they'd already gotten them. So then Ruben put me in contact with those people and I was able to ask them more like deeper questions about the application process. And then they were like able to give me an inside look into the application process that helped me be better prepared for that application and probably get those positions or those opportunities.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of similar. I remember in the first year, the first quarter, Ruben had all these workshops about research or internships, or for me, even just like learning what is research, what is grad school, what's the difference between a master's and a PhD, what's it like if you go into industry, all these different things that I really had no idea about. And also like making a good resume, which my resume was so terrible at first, and Ruben knows that. But I was able to use that and even just talk to Ruben one-on-one, just like improve my resume, things that I could do. Because my goal is I was trying to get like internships in the summer, and through that help and all these resources and the help that Ruben has given me, I was able to get some internships. So I thought that's super helpful, super beneficial for me.
I love the full transparency. I love just starting off with Ruchi's answer, which is just fantastic, and circling all the way through Lawrence's. Lawrence, if it isn't too much, may I share the tidbit about your resume when you came in? That's the best during our weekly discussions. So we discuss a bunch of different topics during the weekly discussions: resumes, internships, research, graduate school. And that's progressing. As I mentioned, it's going to become a class, but during one of our first sessions, we had students complete and turn in a resume as best that they could. And Lawrence turned his in. And one of the first things I noticed was that there was no contact information. It just said Lawrence, and then the rest of it. There's no phone number, there's no email, there's no way to get a hold. And I remember pulling Lawrence aside and saying, so how do we get a hold of this person that has such a great resume? How do we? And he just looked at it and laughed. But right away, he turned around, worked on it, updated it. And Lawrence is golden. I mean, Lawrence, you've had your internship at Qualcomm and you've gone on and you're doing fantastic things. Like you're set. But I mean, I think that's one of the most beautiful components of the IDEA Scholars Program, is that it's not really about capacity or about knowledge or whatnot. It's about trying to push students to catch those little crevices or things that they could be doing to reach their potential. And how do we nudge students, or how do we connect them? How do we put them, how do we create more awareness or exposure to possibilities and opportunities? Because all of our IDEA scholars, in fact, so many different Tritons, students in general, are capable of achieving great things, but you have to know about certain opportunities. You have to understand how an application works or what information they're looking for. And that definitely can make students stand out. So yeah, Lawrence has gone on to do great things, and we can look back now and laugh and say, haha, that's funny. But I'm not gonna lie to you, the day that I saw it, my heart might have sank for a moment. I was like, oh boy, Lawrence, oh boy. Okay, let's move on to the next question. And let's transition, because I think, Richie, you might have touched upon this a little bit, which was the transition between high school to college and what that might be like for students. And I think, Nikita, as a peer educator in the ELCs, you probably see a lot of students that come in with different skill sets. So what's one tip for being successful at UCSD? And let's have Nikita and Mayra answer this question.
Yeah, I actually think for this one, the biggest thing is just find what works for you, because we're all our own people. We have our own ways of learning, and whatever that may be, find it and use it. There's a lot of resources at UCSD. As engineers, we have the ELCs where we help out with a lot of the lower division classes a lot of engineers take. You can form study groups in classes. You can use any of the other resources like discussion sections your professors provide, but also like larger than that, because we are our own people, beyond classes too, really make sure in college to find what makes you super passionate and wants to like show up and spend extra hours on. Because when you find something like that, you're going to join orgs that you enjoy. You're going to overall just enjoy your college experience. And that in turn is going to make it slightly easier, even when you're taking super challenging classes.
Yeah, and actually kind of like my tip kind of is related to that. And it's that when you're trying to find yourself and find what you like at UCSD, you should take as many opportunities as possible. Like whether you find it through the Idea Scholars or the Jacobs School of Engineering or just the regular UCSD emails that they send out, they're going to be sending you lots of opportunities as a UCSD student, like on campus, off campus, just 1,000 things you could do. Not all of them engineering related. Some of them are just like you can come paint a pot at the community center at UCSD. And that is an opportunity because you'll be getting a pot, but also maybe you'll make some friends there. And like, you should just go for everything. I think that was one of the first things that Ruben taught me, is that you should just apply for everything and just seize all of the opportunities you can, even if you're not entirely sure you'll like it at first, because you might surprise yourself. And even if you're not entirely sure that you're qualified, because you may be, but just maybe underestimating yourself.
Yeah, what a great response. By the way, I have written these questions for our panelists, but I have no idea what they're planning on saying. So they could be saying anything. So they're not getting paid to give these wonderful, beautiful responses. I have no idea what they're going to say, but that's really fantastic. I think, yeah, applying for all opportunities, I think, is something that I stress. So I really appreciate you kind of reiterating that, Mayra. And so along those lines, if you could give one reason why students should apply to the Idea Scholars Program. And Mayra, why don't you just keep us going? And Lawrence, if you could answer this question as well. Give one reason, maybe more than one if you have more than one, but let's hear some reasons as to why students should apply to the Idea Scholars Program.
I really think we've hit on a lot of really good reasons already. I feel like we should have convinced you by now. I mean, everyone's given such great answers, but not to like suck up too much, but I really think Ruben's a really good reason to apply to the Idea Scholars, because like he really helps with like everything. Like if you're having a rough time, he's super helpful. If you need to connect with someone, like someone who is a student at UCSD that you need help from and you don't necessarily want to talk to him, he'll do that. Or if you do want to talk to him and get advice for him for applications or just anything really, he's just really helpful and one of my favorite parts of the Idea Scholars Program.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Ruben's just a great person. That's it. Maybe another reason could be, especially like for incoming students, it's a lot of times it's really hard in the beginning to like find your place in the school, or if you want to get involved in clubs or organizations, it can be kind of hard if you don't know anybody since you're a first year. But being part of the Idea Scholars Program, it really gives you access to a great network of people that you can talk to. Maybe some of them are in clubs that you're interested in and you can talk to them about it, help you get those opportunities to get more involved if that's what you're looking for. And maybe another reason I think is pretty cool. Sometimes you get free stuff. Like I have this mug that I just got last week that says Idea Scholars on it. So that's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah, free swag, free food. Yeah, there's a lot of giveaways, and I know we definitely try to give a lot of stuff out to our Idea Scholars. I will add, apply to the Idea Scholars programs for all the things, all the reasons listed, except for me. Do not apply because of me. I might be added value, but as Jessica may have mentioned in one of the questions, so our ACES program, the funding has run out. And so we're semi-merging. We're, having this kind of evolution where Jessica's coming in also as an advisor, and we're in talks about having multiple advisors. So we have some really good staff members, great staff members at the Idea Center. And so you just never know who you're gonna have as an advisor. And I will add though, Lawrence was kind of touching upon this. The network, I think, is key and clutch. Idea Scholars from first year through fourth years through fifth years, they're to graduate school, they're everywhere. And we have so many incoming, first year Idea Scholars that are curious about this or that, want to join this club. And coincidentally, the president of that club is an Idea Scholar. Let's put you in contact with that person so you can ask them some direct questions. And a lot of students seem surprised when that happens. Maybe I'm just so used to it. I've been here for so long and I've seen all the students kind of grow and apply and be in all these different positions But it's a network. And for anyone who isn't quite convinced about becoming or applying to become an Idea Scholars Program, maybe consider it a network and applying to be part of the network. And that's really, really important. All right, so we're winding down on time here. We only have about 10 minutes left. I want to make sure that folks are able to have their questions answered. I'm going to answer the one question that we have in the Q&A live. So how many people apply to the Idea Scholars Program? It really depends every single year. We've had, I would say, about as few as 100 students apply to the Idea Scholars Program when we have like maybe 125 applicants for SEI total. So that's about, I don't know, you do the math. What's 100 out of 125? I was an English major, so I don't know. I need a calculator for that math. But then we've had as many as like 400 applications. And that was the year that we had summer prep when our summer program was online. So that year was an extremely competitive year that year. So for those of you that got in during summer prep, you'll pat yourself on the back. That was a good application. So it really depends. I wish I could give you a specific number, but I can't because it's dependent upon year. All right, for this next question, I want to go ahead and let's see if we have any more. I want to turn it over to our panelists to answer any question they would like to answer. And so if they would state the question and then just go ahead and answer it. And I also want to give time, if we haven't been able to answer your question, throw it into the chat now. Now is the time because we only have a few more minutes. And maybe that question is something that one of our panelists might also read. So I'm going to give folks about 10 seconds to pick a question, and then we can go ahead and answer it. And let's start, let me see here. We'll go in order of what's on my screen. So let's go Nikita, Lawrence, Mayra, Richie. We'll go in that order. It's just what's on my Zoom screen. So, all right, Nikita, do you have a question ready?
Yeah,
right.
I think I'll do the question about what has the mentorship piece of the Idea Scholars Program been like? Because personally, I think my experience has been kind of interesting. I kind of have an Idea Scholars family going on. So my mentor, her name's Trisha. She's the exact, like she's in the same department as me. And when I was assigned to her, I ended up finding out that we were in 2 orgs together and we did a bunch of different activities together. And anytime I had any research questions, I could reach out. But then I ended up getting in contact with her big as well, who's super involved with the Idea Center. So I kind of have a big and like a grand big, and now I have my own little. And my little is in a different department, but I've been able to like, Mayra and I have like a little thing, like a family going on as well. So it's really nice because the mentorship network kind of allows us to help each other out. And if we don't know the answers to any questions, we can reach out to any of the other Idea Scholars we know and ask them, hey, my little's like a mechanical engineer. I know you are as well. Can you answer this question for me? And it's just a really great way to build relationships with people and also feel less alone in this process, because I think there are times all of us feel like, oh, we're the only one who's feeling overwhelmed. And then when you reach out and someone else is like, I felt that too, it just feels really good to know you're going through this process with other people.
Great. My question, how has your participation in Idea Scholars impacted your experience at UCSD? So it's kind of similar to what I said in the last question about being a first year, you know, you're all new here, you don't really know where everything is, what things are, or maybe even what you want to study. But being in Idea Scholars it's really like that first community or group that you have of people to talk to and communicate with, just to talk about your experience or how you're feeling or what you want to do. And it's really just like, I think it's super important because I feel like a lot of people, when they first come into UCSD or just college in general, they feel lost or out of place and they might not have that many people to talk to or that many people they know. But with Idea Scholars, there were those first friends that I had made and people that I could talk to about, including Ruben. And it really just helped me gain more confidence and make more connections, and then really just put myself out there and have the opportunity to get access to more resources or clubs or organizations that I wanted to be a part of. So I think that having that initial Idea Scholars community certainly was a significant part of my experience at UCSD.
That's a great answer, Lawrence. Mayra, before you answer, I just want to jump in and clarify for some questions. Orgs, when we use the phrase orgs, we mean organizations, so student organizations. We use the phrase organizations rather than clubs because at the high school component clubs, it's a little bit more, there's a lot of administrative oversight at the high school level. At the university level, it's really run by students. So students are the ones that are putting in all the time to keep their organization going. So if you hear student orgs, clubs, engineering orgs, we were talking about specific engineering related student organizations. All right, Mayra, keep us going, please.
Okay, so I also wanted to answer the one that Nikita answered about how or what has the mentorship piece of the Idea Scholars program been like. So I was a mentee last year and I'm a mentor this year. And last year for me, it was really nice having my mentor and being her mentee because like it's a student who is like, she was going through the things that I was planning on going through. She was working on like grad school applications or like industry like job applications because she was graduating. And so I know it was super early because I was in my first year, but I was really interested in that stuff. And it's different hearing it from someone who had like been through that a couple of years ago or someone who had been through it a really long time ago. But she was going like through that whole process right then. And it was really nice to like watch her do it and like ask her questions and get feedback or like get advice on stuff that I should be focusing on as a first year. Or, you know, as I go through the years at UCSD and what I'm supposed to focus on so that I can make my application process easier. And so it's nice to get, and it was also nice to like talk to her as a student because I mean, she was like super successful. She was just an awesome bioengineering student and she had just done all these amazing things. And like, so she was super intimidating to me, but it was really nice to talk to her and like get advice from her and connect with her and learn how to become a little bit more like her because she was awesome. And a lot of the Idea Scholars are awesome when you build this community. I mean, it's a community full of like really intelligent, really people who are really dedicated and passionate about their field, which I think is super cool. And then as a mentor, I just met with my mentees like last week. And so I have 2 mentees. And so like, as a mentor, I get to like help impart information that I learned from my mentor, but I know that like they were also looking for different things than I was. Like one of them is looking just to make friends. And so I was like, yeah, I can help you make friends and I can be your friend. And so that's another thing that a mentor can give you that's really nice. And then the other one was like really focused on research. And research can be kind of hard to get into as a first year, but I think that the Idea Scholars, like the network and your mentor can really help you get those opportunities if you're interested.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with all of that. I guess like a question that I wanted to answer though, which I found was like a really interesting question, is if you could talk to yourself in your senior year of high school, what would you say? And like when I read this question, I'm like, okay, so what are like some regrets I have in like high school that I want to address now that I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I regretted it before, but I don't regret it now. I guess like one reason why I found this question so interesting is because like I guess like college is kind of like a second chance in high school, and that things that you've regretted not doing in high school, you can do in college. So I keep mentioning this, but it's very true for me. I was a very, very, very academically inclined student in high school, and I'm very proud of that. But at the same time, I didn't put myself out there. And I felt like college was my chance to really put myself out there. And because of that, I don't really have anything to say to myself in senior year of high school, because college kind of provided me that opportunity to have a second chance to really be active and to really, I guess, like network more. And yeah.
Excellent answers, everyone. I hope we've been able to answer a lot of questions for our potential Idea Scholars. We're looking forward to seeing your applications here in a little bit. It is 6:30, and so I know some of our folks have to go to our last suite meeting if they're participating in the engineering overnight program. I want to thank all of our panelists for spending some time, sharing their insights, being transparent. I apologize we weren't able to answer all questions for folks. If you have additional questions, please feel free. You can email us at ideascholars@ucsd.edu. That's our super snazzy email account. It was created about 2 years ago. Additionally, I've seen some questions about where to find this recording. Please check our website. Please check the Idea Center's website. In about a week, we definitely will upload it to our YouTube page, and you can find our YouTube page through the Idea Center website. We will likely upload this recording to the Idea Scholars webpage, specific page. So I can definitely see that happening. So yeah, come back, check it in about a week. And then you can get a lot of the information on there. So thank you all very much. Jessica, anything you might want to add before we take off?
I don't think I have anything. Just
No?
congrats again. Definitely apply if you're interested. It's such a great program. You will not regret it.
Yeah. Along those lines, I've seen some questions from folks. Should I apply? Will it conflict with this or that? Final words, apply to everything, because you're not in yet. You have to be in, you have to get accepted to things in order for you to have to pick between things. And right now, we haven't accepted anyone to the Idea Scholars Program. So apply first and then get in and then decide what you want to do. You can always say no later. You can always say no later, but you have to apply first for that to happen. All right. Big shout out to our panelists. I will be in touch with our panelists pretty soon. We'll have something for you. We'll have a gift or an item or something. You might get another mug, Lawrence, but we'll switch it up. We'll do something. We'll find something for you all. But thank you all, and we shall see you all in the future. Yeah, congrats on being admitted. Bye, everyone.